part 6 of the CV2 any% tutorial, Carmilla Mansion. Just jump over these two. Then based on preference, you can either stun that one with a dagger and jump over, or pray to Jesus. Just praying harder to Jesus. Oh my god, yes. Thank you, Jesus. If you stun lock this boy, say at the pillar there, you're in the risk of the bad bone getting hit on the stairs, which means that you have to actually stop a little bit to avoid that damage. Or if you give him another jump to this window, or even just like here, or even here, but you are eliminating the risk of the bad bone completely with that. Good RNG on the knight. Best RNG here would have been to have both knights to the right, so now we have to deal with one of them. Normally also, you would be taking a damage from one of them going up the stairs. Just take the damage boost. Deal with this one. Basically, however, we got extremely lucky there, so that's great. Hold up and nothing else. Take the damage boost. When I say nothing else, I mean don't do something like that. Just hold up. Right plus jump on the same frame. Just across. Now, if you have game over up to this point, you're fucked. Reset, rip run, game over. But if, for whatever reason, if say you're starting out, say you don't have time yet, say you just want to complete a run, maybe you have a 1 hour 10, maybe you want to try to get that 1 hour, this is the spot to try to get some extra hearts. And if you have game over up to this point, we're gonna do the backup kill on Carmilla, which does not include any daggers. So don't grind for 90 hearts here, just grind for 50 for the oak stake. But generally, if you have game over up to this point before you get the oak stake, rip run. Toss dagger going up, then just jump across. You can do that without taking damage. As such, touch the stairs. Jump up, jump up. Now this one has two setups. The old one used to be here, onto here. And as you can see, that hits me. It's not every time, but I find myself getting hit there like 50% of the time. So here is what I jump from now, landing onto the first platform. And that seems to be more consistent for me anyway. Jump down here, drop, 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 then do the floor drop. Talk to this guy for the laurels. Hold right during the text message, drop down, wait for the projectile to leave the... well, get out of your way. And then hold right on the D-pad, clipping into the platform. You don't need to jump up on it, you're just gonna clip onto it as such. And then there is such a thing as a speed boost, which I would not recommend here because of all this lag going on, but you can do it. Otherwise, you can just jump over, and sometimes you will make it across here, sometimes you will have to take the damage boost on that projectile, but you can always pretty much make it. But yeah, there's so much lag there, I wouldn't recommend the speed boost. Jump down there. Now, when it comes to Carmilla, you want to hit that stagger every time to avoid getting bad RNG. And just kill her from there, basically. 20 daggers, 40 hearts. Always have shield equipped here. Basically, every time she reaches the top position, she is in reach of RNG fucking you. See, that was just 2 balls, that's great. That's like maybe only 4 or 5 seconds of time loss. But if you're unlucky, that could take 2 minutes. I've seen runs getting absolutely demolished by that RNG. She's been very friendly here essentially. But yeah, if you miss this dagger right away, not only does she get one shot at RNG fucking you. You have to kill her from here, which is easier, mind you. But it is not worth gambling. I've lost like half a minute just letting her get the shot at that first initial RNG screw. So I will just try to kill her from that. If you also, for whatever reason, just don't have the hearts, you can. Eight hits every time. I think this is the glitchless version, I can't recall in my head right now, but this is basically the last resort backup for Carmilla if you absolutely do not have hearts to waste. Maybe the game was just not friendly on RNG. Let's say you don't have the 90 hearts needed for Carmilla Mansion, 40 for this boss kill, 50 for the oak stake. If you need to save hearts, you have to whip kill her. It's not terrible, but it still requires some practice for sure. And if you're gonna use the daggers, which you normally would, keep track of how many you toss. I have not kept track now, but it takes 20 daggers. And the only reason you really keep track of it is so you know you don't waste anyone. Grab the cross, which does absolutely jack shit for the game, but it is required to complete it. Grab the ring, which also, I believe, does jack shit for the game. But again, it is required. So that is Carmilla. Worth mentioning, you can get 9 whips on her for every pass, but it is really fiendishly hard trying to do so and getting back on time to do it again. So I would recommend doing 8. Knight RNG, preferably you want to dagger him when he's there. Take the hit or get past him, either way it's fine. Alternatively, it's the same sort of whip input as you used against Carmilla. And if you remember the rib mansion for the camera scrolls, this is pretty much the same deal. Try to get up here as fast as possible. Try to hit the spider there. And I would recommend daggering both of them. Alright, so that's when you nail it. Is that you take the damage boost from the skeleton, but because the camera is in the position of just keeping that damage boost from knocking you down, like say from there, that's what would happen normally otherwise if the camera wasn't there to buffer that damage boost. So that's how you know you got it. Otherwise, also, you can wait for the spider, first dagger there. You don't need to hit the dagger in air as you're landing. You can land and then hit her from there. But basically, that's how you do it. So you can see here, I mean, that's what happens when you don't get it. But generally, from here, just don't waste too much time. You can see the visual there for the blocks on the right. And I should still have it. Yeah, it's pretty free. You don't need to worry too much about it. But if we don't get it, then we could kill the skeleton, which could be a pain in the ass because of the spiders. But it can be done, sure. What you also can do, and this is very tricky, but some people go for this. That's what you can do. But the camera technique really isn't at all that bad. And from here, just gotta wait for everything here. Then make 1 or 2 jumps there depending on where you stand. And you can get past that one. And here just sunlock, get over, and talk to the boy for the oak stick. Easy peasy. Drop down. Now this is important. This is gonna be a pretty tricky floor drop here. So we're dropping down. That was completely wrong. That's how we do it. Okay, so that is pretty tricky. Some people, first of all, touch the stairs. And then we need to get onto this platform and bypass the skeleton. I don't know the visual for this one, quite frankly. I just know that that's how some people actually do it. But it is harder to take time here and wait for it, but it can be done. And then just jump up and do the floor drop from here, basically. But it's actually easier to do the fast setup for it because you know you're perfectly aligned for it every time. So what I do is just scroll my thumb, basically from going up the stairs, scroll my thumb from up, right, left, and just walk. Up, right, left, jump, jump. Easy every time. I would recommend learning the fast one. It's actually a lot easier. Stun him. Stun him. And you're through. Now, that's essentially what you hope for. Sometimes you can get bad RNG, and the knight can be fucking you over with a back boost like that. So if he's very aggressive, you could jump into this skeleton as such and get a forward boost instead, if you so wanted to. Alright, so we're through. Cheers. From the dagger, just one input left for the laurels. And that's the laurels, if you don't already know. It's this thing right here. People always wonder like how they actually get down there. But from where we come out, having dagger equipped, it's just one left. That's basically it. Toss a holy water, same input, it's up and whip to activate it. Somewhere around here, again. Now, this is where things get a little bit interesting. Basically, this should generally take 2, maybe 3 damage to get through. I had 4 HP starting out this one. So just continue walking here. You see, I took 3 damage combined. It is possible to get through here, taking, I think, 1 damage. On average, you should always take 2 damage. But sometimes you can take 3. Doing something like this will help you get through with a little bit more HP intact, but obviously it's a time loss. So I usually don't go for it, but if you're lower on health, it could be one way of doing it, just to save yourself from dying. Definitely don't die in the swamp there. If you are beneath, say, 3 HP or 2 HP, and you feel unease on getting through this, kill yourself on the enemies at the beginning of the swamp instead. Now, I'm practically in perfect position for the next screen here. I can just kill myself straight up and get iframes. And just bypass all of these enemies. That is pretty much perfect. But we are gonna kill ourselves and showcase what happens when you're not perfectly aligned for that. You have 2 options. Basically, take the damage boost there. And maybe another damage boost from the floating head. Maybe another one from the other fire guy, but you basically can get through that with 1 damage if you hit this guy from the back and just jump through. Alternatively, but much harder, equip the dagger again and try to get past like that. Dealer's choice, do what you want. Then for this one, try to hit him. Hard to explain really the inputs for it, but you can see sort of what I do. And then you can either take the damage boost there, which I would say that's probably the best way of doing it. Or you can try to stun both of those to kill them, maybe getting some extra hearts. Alternatively, if you're gonna have to do something, just take a boost from that fireball right there, and maybe another one from that. But I mean, it's really situational, like how many hearts you have, stuff like that. But basically, what I would recommend is just learning this one right here. But it's a little bit tricky in terms of which boost you'll get from the fireball here. So that's something you would have to try to practice. But that's the most optimal way of doing it. And then here, easy every time. It's pretty free. I mean, just whip him, get the damage, jump, jump. It's super free. I'm gonna reset that screen, I think. So coming in here, just jump over this one. Dagger in air to stun that. And kill him. Easy every time. And then this jump right here. You can go for this one. I am personally not a fan of it, but I know some people do. You can obviously just drop down there. If you're gonna go for the jump, try to align your foot, I'd say like with the thickest red bar there, and just jump. And you see I do have a couple of frames of moving here too, so there's that. But it is still, you know, a pretty tricky jump. You can see there, for instance, you know, it won't work if I just align myself to the black line there. But it can be done, sure. I don't know how I died there, but okay. I would recommend just making the drop there instead of just going for that added jump. It doesn't say much and it risks a lot. Even Burb died going for it in his current PB. So it's definitely not the safest jump you can go for. And we're here, we're at Nail Mansion. That's pretty much the end of this. So, what can we say about this? Carmilla Mansion, the general rule is never to kill any enemy. Every enemy inside there takes 8 hits to kill. It is a complete loss of time just trying to kill anything. You either have the option of using the daggers to stun enemies, or take damage boosts to get through. That's essentially it. Depending on your heart count and depending on your life count, as well as health management, you're gonna have to pick between which you want to do. Killing enemies should be last resort. It is strictly a time loss for that mansion. The other thing is you need to get past the blob without the game over, but you also need to get past the Carmilla in terms of getting Carmilla killed and getting the oak stake before that game over. You need 90 hearts for that. If you die somewhere in between there, that's a massive time loss. We're talking minutes and it's generally a reset. Unless you're really starting out as a new player, but if you game over before that oak stake, that's rip run. Learn the fast Carmilla kill, eliminate that RNG from her, learn the backup for her, and you should generally be fine. The other aspect of it I can also say is keep track of your health as you exit the Carmilla Mansion generally, so you know how much health you have coming out to the swamp. You need, I would advise, at least 3 health for that. And if you notice yourself running low on health, I would probably take a death like right about exiting Carmilla Mansion, or just at the beginning of the swamp before activating the Laurel. And aside from that, really practice the enemy screens after the swamp. I never really cared too much about it, and as such I never really knew what to do. I usually always winged it. Having done the tutorial afterwards, I would say that it is definitely worth to memorize the general movement around that area. It really is not tough, but it can cost you quite a lot of time. I know JC messed up because he didn't have enough hearts at that point, so he lost a good amount of 20-25 seconds on just that part alone. I mean, don't exclude it from your practice. Definitely invest some time and practice it. And that is pretty much Carmilla. Overall, it is not the most technical mansion, but it is very situational depending on how you have done up to this point. It can be either your easiest mansion to date, or it could be the absolute roughest experience. But the general rule is, you either have 90 hearts and be happy and fine, or don't have 90 hearts and reset. And that's pretty much